In today's lesson, we're going to discuss how to calculate force vectors. In regards to vectors, when describing them, we have to include both the magnitude or size of the vector as well as its direction. Different type of vectors, again, include position vectors, force vectors, and moment vectors. In regards to vector notation, we usually use a variable such as a or b to describe a particular vector. And then usually above the variable, there is a handwritten notation that includes an arrow to denote vector A versus vector B. When it comes to illustrating vectors, we're going to represent them using arrows, and we're always going to include its magnitude and its direction, but we're also going to include a third component, which is the sense. In this particular example, you can see that the magnitude is 3, and that's denoted by the length of that line of action. When it comes to illustrating the vector's direction, we're always going to use an angle between the reference axis and the arrow's line of action. You can see below that the direction of this vector is 30 degrees counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. And the third component to illustrating a vector involves including its sense. The sense is indicated by the direction of the tip of the arrow. So again, below you can see this example that this vector is going upward and to the right. The sense essentially describes what the horizontal and vertical positions are of this vector. So to get to that arrow, we had to go to the right as well as up, or you could describe it as going up and to the right. Now in general, when we're discussing the sense of a vector, think of it as an XY coordinate plane. Anytime you go left, it's negative. Anytime you go right, it's positive. Anytime you go down, it's negative. Anytime you go up, it's positive. Now, in order to do some of the calculations for truss designs, we're going to have to review a little bit about trigonometry. Trigonometry is all about the study of triangles. In particular, we're going to be looking at right triangles. A triangle with a 90-degree angle is considered a right triangle, and recall that the sum of all interior angles of a triangle always add up to 180 degrees. If we're given a right triangle, if we know 2 out of the 3 sides, we can apply Pythagorean theorem, which says a squared plus b squared equals c squared, or leg squared plus leg squared equals hypotenuse squared. In regards to a right triangle, this angle is called your reference angle, and the side directly across from this reference angle is your opposite side. The side across from the 90-degree angle, which is always the longest side of a right triangle, is known as your hypotenuse. And the side next to this reference angle is your adjacent side. You're going to want to become familiar with which side is adjacent, opposite, and which one's the hypotenuse moving forward. Now, in regards to trigonometric functions, these functions are used to describe the ratios of sides to its referred angle. So if this is my reference angle again, sine of theta represents the ratio of the opposite side divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine of theta is equivalent to the adjacent side divided by the hypotenuse. And tangent of theta is the ratio of the opposite side divided by the adjacent side. An easy way to remember these 3 ratios of the trigonometric functions is to use this acronym SOHCAHTOA. Sine is opposite over hypotenuse. Cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. Tangent is opposite over adjacent. Now, how does trigonometry apply to the study of forces? Well, the hypotenuse is always going to represent the magnitude or size of the force. We'll call that F. In this particular figure down below, you can see that the adjacent side is going to represent the x component, which is the force in the x direction. The opposite side is going to represent the y component, the force in the y direction. So if we were to apply these 3 trigonometric ratios and deal with them in terms of forces, well, sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, and the opposite side represents the force in the y direction, and F represents the magnitude, well, then we can say that sine of theta is equal to the force in the y direction divided by the magnitude of the force. If I wanted to solve for the force in the y direction, I could just take the magnitude of that force and times it by sine of theta, as you can see here. If cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse in regards to forces, then it's the force in the x direction divided by the magnitude of the force. Again, if I wanted to solve for the force in the x direction, I could do the force of my magnitude times cosine of theta, similar to what you see here again. And then in regards to tangent of theta, tangent is equal to opposite over adjacent, which would be the force in the y direction divided by the force in the x direction. Please make sure you note that the force in the x direction and y direction are negative if you go left or down, respectively. Let's go ahead and look at how to find the vectors x and y components. So down below, you can see we have vector A that has a magnitude of 75 pounds of force. Its direction is going 35 degrees counterclockwise from the positive x-axis, and its sense can be described as going to the right and up. Notice that the sense going right and up forms a right triangle. Your hypotenuse being the magnitude, 75 pounds of force. The adjacent side would represent the force of vector A in the x direction, and the opposite side would represent the force of A in the y direction. Now, in order to solve for the force of A in the x direction, we need to solve for the adjacent side of this triangle. Well, notice out of the three sides of this given triangle, we know the angle is 35 degrees, and we know the magnitude is 75 pounds of force. So the trigonometric ratio that uses the adjacent side and a known value for the magnitude or hypotenuse is cosine. So we're going to say cosine of theta is equal to adjacent over hypotenuse. And adjacent again represents the force of A in the x direction. Hypotenuse represents the magnitude of A. And so if I was to set this up, I could cross multiply or simply state that the force of A in the x direction is equal to my magnitude of 75 pounds of force times cosine of the reference angle 35 degrees. And if I plug that in my calculator, 75 times cosine of 35 degrees gives me 61.4 pounds of force in the horizontal x direction. Now, if you did not get that as an answer when you typed it in your calculator, double check the mode. You may be in radian mode if you're in a higher level math class as of right now. So you might need to go back and change your mode from radians to degrees. Now, if I want to find the y component of this vector, I'm going to solve for the force of A in the y direction. So again, I know the magnitude is 75 pounds of force. I know my reference angle is 35 degrees. And this time I want to find the opposite side of the triangle. So if I know I'm finding the opposite side and I know the hypotenuse, well, that trigonometric ratio is sine. So I'm going to say sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. And the opposite side denotes the force of A in the y direction. The hypotenuse, again, is the magnitude. So we have sine of 35 degrees equals force of A in the y direction over 75. And if I cross multiply that, and we can see that in order to calculate the force of vector A in the y direction, we're going to take our magnitude of 75 pounds of force and times it by the sine of our angle 35 degrees. And when I plug that in my calculator, we get approximately 43 pounds of force in the y direction. Let's go ahead and look at another example. This time we have vector B. Vector B again has a magnitude of 75 pounds of force. This time our direction has changed. It's now going 35 degrees clockwise from the positive x-axis. And this time to describe the horizontal and vertical components of this vector, we're going to the right and down. So the right will be my adjacent side, which is the force of vector B in the x direction. My downward force is going to be the opposite side, which is the force of B in the y direction. Let's go ahead and solve for the force of B in the x direction. So again, we have our adjacent side that we're trying to find, and I know my hypotenuse. So we're going to use cosine again. So cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse. And so we can set this up as a proportion. Cosine of 35 degrees equals the force of B in the x direction divided by 75 pounds of force. If I cross multiply that, I can see that the force of B in the x direction is 75 times cosine of 35 degrees, and I get 61.4 pounds of force. So let's go ahead and also solve for the force of B in the y direction. So the opposite side is what I'm trying to find when given the magnitude or my hypotenuse of 75 pounds of force. So we'll say sine of theta is equal to opposite over hypotenuse. The opposite side, again, is the force of B in the y direction divided by my magnitude, 75. So I can set up a proportion again. Sine of 35 equals force of B in the y direction divided by 75 pounds of force. And if I cross multiply that, I can solve for the force of B in the y direction of 75 pounds of force times sine of 35 degrees, and I get 43 pounds of force. Now notice that the opposite side, or the force of B in the y direction, is going downward. Anytime you go downward, we're going to have to throw a negative sign in front of that value. When it comes to finding the resultant force, you're going to want to take the sum of the forces. In this particular example, you can see that two people are pulling a boat to shore, and they are pulling with the same size magnitude. The first person is represented by vector A, who's pulling with 75 pounds of force at an angle of 35 degrees counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. And then the second person is represented by vector B, who's also pulling at 75 pounds of force at an angle of 35 degrees clockwise. If I want to go ahead and find the resultant force of these two people pulling, I'm going to go ahead and have to find the horizontal and vertical components of each of these two individual vectors and then take the sum of them. So let's go ahead and do that. You can see here that the force of vector A in the x direction is going to the right, so it's positive 61.4 pounds of force. The force of vector B in the x direction is also going to the right, so it is also positive 61.4 pounds of force. And to calculate the force of vector A in the y direction, since it's going up, it's going to be positive 43 pounds of force. And for the force of vector B in the y direction, this one's going down, so we have a negative 43 pounds of force. So now once I've calculated all the horizontal and vertical forces of each of my vectors to find the resultant force, I can go ahead and take the sum of those forces respectively. So for all the forces in the x direction, we had 61.4 plus 61.4, which gives me a sum of the forces in the x direction to be 122.9 pounds of force to the right. If I add up all the forces in the y direction, notice that they cancel out. So the sum of the forces in the y direction is equal to 0. And this should conceptually make sense because one person's pulling up at 35 degrees counterclockwise and the other one's pulling down at 35 degrees clockwise. So since the forces in the y direction canceled out, that concludes that our magnitude has to be 122.9 pounds of force. Now, if that value was not 0, we could go ahead and apply Pythagorean theorem to find our final magnitude. So our direction is going to be 0 degrees from the positive x-axis since it's directly going to the right. And then for our sense, we would just say it's going right for this force. So on this side, you can just see a picture representing the resultant force. It has a magnitude of approximately 123 pounds of force. Its direction is 0 degrees from the positive x-axis, and the sense is directly to the right. In this next example, we're asked to determine the sense, magnitude, and direction for the resultant force. So here we have two tension forces. Vector C is being applied with 300 pounds of force at an angle of 60 degrees counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. And we have vector D that's being applied with 400 pounds of force at an angle of 30 degrees clockwise from the positive x-axis. Go ahead and pause this video right now and try this practice problem for finding the magnitude, direction, and sense of this resultant force. So hopefully you had a chance to work through this problem. So moving forward and checking your work, to find the x and y components of vector C, I'm going to have to again use those trigonometric ratios. So to find the force of C in the x direction, I'm going to take my magnitude, 300 pounds, and times it by cosine of 60, and I get 150 pounds. To find the force of C in the y direction, I'm going to do 300 pounds times sine of 60, and I get 260 pounds of force going up. To find the x and y components of vector D, I'm going to start by finding the force of D in the x direction by using 400 pounds of force and multiplying it by cosine of 30, which gives me approximately 350 pounds of force in the right direction. And to calculate the force of D in the y direction, I'll take my magnitude again of 400 pounds, times it by sine of 30 degrees, and I'll get negative 200 pounds of force since this force is going downward. To find the resultant force, let's list the forces according to their sense. So I had two forces going to the right, 150 pounds and 346.4 pounds. And for all the forces that are going in the y direction, I have 259.8 pounds and negative 200 pounds of force. So if we add those forces together respectively, I get 150 plus 346.4, which gives me 496.4 pounds of force in the right direction, and 259.8 pounds of force plus a negative 200 pounds of force gives me 59.8 pounds of force going to up. So my sense of my resultant force is going to be to the right and up. And here you can see a sketch of the resultant force that includes the final X and Y components. And so we have 496.4 to the right, 59.8 pounds of force up. Again, I can use Pythagorean theorem here to find our final magnitude of our resultant force. So 496.4 squared plus 59.8 squared, take the square root of that, and I'll get my force of my resultant vector. And when you do the calculations, you can see that the magnitude ends up being 500 pounds of force. Now, when it comes to finding the direction at which that 500 pounds of force is being applied to, we're going to use the trigonometric ratio tangent of theta equals opposite over adjacent. So tangent of theta would equal 59.8 pounds of force divided by 496.4 pounds of force. And to solve for just that angle, to get rid of tangent, we're going to use the inverse tangent function. And inverses always find the angles for trigonometric ratios. So if I type in on my calculator inverse tangent of 59.8 divided by 496.4, I'll get theta equals approximately 7 degrees. Since that answer was positive, I know it's going to be rotating counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. And if you're not sure how to find inverse tangent on your calculator, you're going to hit the second button and then click tangent. So our final answer for our resultant force is going to include all of these pieces of information. We'll have a magnitude of 500 pounds of force. Its direction is 7 degrees counterclockwise from the positive x-axis. And our sense, which describes the horizontal and vertical positions of our vector, is to the right and up.